What's going on, everybody? My name is Jason and I make posters. If you're new around here, this is how it works. I take a random CD out of my collection and make a poster out of it. On Thursdays, I do movies. Today I'm going to be making a Bauhaus poster, so hopefully whatever the randomizer chooses, Bauhaus will work for it. Before we get going here, please remember to hit like and subscribe and click the bell for notifications to be notified of all new content. Now let's head over to the randomizer. Alright, so I have everything copied and pasted into the randomizer and we're going to pick a random album. Mandy Moore. Okay, so this is the self-titled album of Mandy Moore. Let me go grab it. All right, so here we go. This is Mandy Moore's self-titled album, came out in 2001, and this, in my opinion, was the beginning of her transition from going to, like, you know, the teeny bopper bubblegum pop music to kind of going a little bit more of like an R&B and maybe even like a folk direction, which is where she ended up, basically. She ended up basically doing folk music, and if you didn't keep up with Mandy Moore in her musical journey, then I highly recommend that you do that, because it's very diverse. You know, she starts off as like the teeny bopper bubblegum pop music and everything, and you can really follow the progression like all the way to where she is now, like the singer-songwriter folk type of music. So I will always defend Mandy Moore. She is an excellent singer, has a great voice, and I've always loved all of her music, even if she doesn't like her very first album. All right, so we are gonna do a Bauhaus design of this album, and it's going to be very interesting because there's nothing here. You know, here's the front, here's the back. There's nothing here that is that screams Bauhaus, but we're going to make it work. All right, so I'm here in Illustrator, and I have what amounts to basically an extended Bauhaus color palette that includes a couple of extra tones. So typically you would have black, red, blue, yellow, and like this maybe a cream color or white. However, I do like this particular palette that I found on Google Images because it has all of those, plus a brown and like kind of like a fuchsia and then a purple. And it's interesting actually because that's kind of what we've got going on here in the particular this particular album. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go, and I'm gonna let you watch me go. If I feel the need to stop to say anything, I'll do it, but I'm just gonna get started and see where it heads. All right, so I know I've barely gotten started here, but I was flipping through the booklet and I saw these really cool pictures right here, and they're in black and white. And so what I was thinking is grabbing one of those, and I actually found this one. I like this one a lot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna designate a little space for this image to be, and we will include a little bit of imagery in here. So this is not gonna be the highest quality image, but I'm gonna apply some effects to it that's going to make it look a little bit cooler, a little bit more Bauhaus. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. So here we go. While I'm kerning here, I just wanted to say that I chose this font right here. This font is Karl Marx, and it's from Adobe Fonts. I chose this one because when I was looking through Bauhaus fonts, this is the one that came the closest to the font that they use for the actual design. So I wanted to do something that was kind of thin like this. You know, didn't want to do the exact same thing because I wanted to still have the Bauhaus style. But this was the closest that Adobe had in terms of Bauhaus fonts. All right, so this whole poster right now has a very has a very retro vibe to it, which is obviously, you know, like that's obviously the case when it comes to Bauhaus fonts. Although if I were going to redo this, if I had known that I was going to do this album, I definitely would have gone with a Y2K vibe. That would actually be cool. I may actually do that for my next music poster, regardless of what the album is. So that would be fun. Okay, so I have an idea of something to do right here, especially for these descenders right here. But first, I want to get all of the text set, do everything like that, because whatever ideas that you have when it comes to your typography and everything, you want to make sure that you get all of the text set first. So do that, and then you should be good to go. All right, so I really like the structure of this. So what I'm going to do is the idea that I was telling you about a few minutes ago is I'm going to outline this, and it's a good thing that I waited, because I wanted to make that because when I went in and made this bold, I was like, oh yeah, that needs to be bold right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this text right here and select this shape, and we're going to go to the Pathfinder. We're going to click on the divide tool. So everything that is below this, below the descenders, or in the descenders right here, I'm gonna color it probably yellow, just to give it a little bit of extra personality. I just think that, you know, like with this font especially, because it's rounded and the baseline is actually a little bit higher than the bottom of these characters, I wanted to do something that kind of brought it, you know, that kind of brought it to life a little bit more. So that is actually looking pretty cool. I like that. Let's see. Oh yeah, I've got to do the same thing here, because that's a separate shape. Okay, and I'll probably, let's see here. I think I'm just going to do it on her name. I don't think I'm going to do it anywhere else. So just on her name, just to give a little bit more visual interest. Okay, so I have the structure all done right here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to copy everything over into Photoshop, so I can drag in that image in this little spot right here, and then maybe apply some final effects. I may do some effects, I may not, but we'll see. All right, so what I did here was I applied a darken blending mode. So what it did was it just took out everything that was in the background where Mandy is standing. So it basically just took all of the bright whites out and then just left everything else. Most of the time that will work for what you're doing, but it just kind of depends. So just kind of make sure that you play around with it. And so I'm just going to put her right here in the corner, and we've got a lot of pixelation right here. I am well aware of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to try a couple of different things. And this is really just kind of experimental. So I'm going to try a halftone pattern. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring it directly above her. And then we're going to fill it with 50% gray. So that way it fills everything up in here. And since we're still inside of this mask, then it's only confined to this mask. So we're going to go to Filter Gallery, go to Halftone Pattern. You got to make sure that your foreground is black and your background is white. And I've got a size of 2 and a contrast of 5. And hit OK. And we go over here to overlay, and as you can see right here, we've already got like that nice like you see this a lot in Swiss design. You also see it in Bauhaus. But what we're doing is we're doing like a halftone pattern right here, and even 100% view, you can see how much of a difference it makes when we have it and when we don't have it. So what it's doing is it's covering up a lot of that pixelation right there, and it's really letting her show through without looking like we, you know, enlarged it and we didn't have like the full size asset. So this looks intentional. However, this doesn't. It looks awful. So there's all kinds of different things you can do there. And I'll show you one more thing that you can do. You can also add in a noise layer. So just make sure that it's also in your clipping mask area, and go to add noise, 10%, and we'll do like maybe an overlay or maybe a soft light, or just kind of play around with it, you know. Just kind of make sure that just kind of make sure that it looks good. Vivid light actually looks really good because this is giving a lot of contrast. So that's nice right there. And then you want, maybe some kind of like a, kind of like a faded look. So just kind of go in here and just lower the contrast. You can increase that brightness a little bit, but you can also bring it this way, give it a little bit more of a dramatic look. Let's go to our contrast. Actually want our contrast to be down, maybe not that much. Just kind of play around with it, see what works best for you. I think -25 in both directions is going to be good for me. All right, so oh yeah, and then one more thing we can do is we can add a gradient map on top of it. You could do a reverse if you want to, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this black and I'm going to lighten it just a little bit, maybe like 20 right there. And then we'll do the same thing for the white and bring it down by about 20 or so. Okay, maybe not that much, maybe about 95. Okay, so what that's doing is, just like I say all the time with your text effects and everything, what you want is you want the effects to show through. So without the gradient map, you can see you can see right here that her dress is a completely dark black. So what we do is we actually bring that up a little bit and it shows those effects a whole lot better. So this is a lot more consistent when it comes to the effects right here versus what we had earlier, where it looks like the effects were only applied to the light areas. All right, so back out to full view here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and go to Illustrator and grab everything and bring it over here to Photoshop. All right, so what I have here is everything on one layer. I've just labeled it artwork right here, and you may have noticed that the background color is not the same. So what I do over here is I actually grab the hex value from there, go over here to Photoshop, and then add a solid color layer. That way, if I ever want to change the background color, then I can easily do that right here in Photoshop. If it's a little bit too dark, I can kind of lighten it up right here. If it's a little too light, I can always darken it. But, the point is, you can actually go in and change the background color directly in Photoshop without having to go back to Illustrator to do it. So, let's see here. I've got a layer here that is not named, so we'll just call this photo holder. That's usually what I call it. And what I like to do is grab everything that is pertaining to the actual photo and put it in a group and then just label it photo. And sometimes what I like to do, it just kind of depends on the poster, but if you want this to blend in with your background, just kind of go down to luminosity. That way it still maintains all of your effects right there, and it will still apply to the background color itself. So that's a really, really cool look, actually. I like that a lot. Okay, so let's go up here to artwork, and I'm gonna do just a few things, maybe like a Gaussian blur, maybe only like a 2-point or something like that. I may add in some paper overlay for this, but if I do, it's probably gonna be really, really subtle. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, so I'm here in my age paper, and all of these different ones, like there's all kinds of different ones that have different effects, different styles and things like that. I'm looking for something very subtle. So typically when I'm doing like a vintage poster or something like that, I want to do something where the paper is really rough and really kind of distressed. That's not really what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for something that it looks like it was printed on a nice, like on a nice textured paper. And this one right here, I actually think is going to be really good for it. So let's go ahead and rotate this, and we'll bring this up to here. I like to go a little bit to the edge just to make sure that it's that it's going to show all of the texture everywhere. All right, so now we're just going to use the magic of our blending modes. All right, so first I'm going to desaturate, make sure that this is desaturated, because I want all of the colors that are going to be showing through to be their true colors. All right. So now we're just going to go through our blending modes. Multiply is a very nice one right here, and I'll just kind of show you what we've got going on. So when you've got multiply in here, it's applying all of the effects right here of this paper, but it's still maintaining your colors. Sometimes that's, well, actually I would say most of the time that's probably the best one for maintaining your colors, but linear burn also will maintain your colors. And really you just want to play around and just kind of get the look that you're going for. for. So I would suggest, don't stick to just one blending mode. Definitely, experiment and see what's going to be best for you. I think that difference right here is probably going to be best for me. So I like this one right here. I may go in here and now I'll try my Gaussian blur. And so that is actually going to just kind of bleed in the ink into the actual paper, but I want it to be nice and subtle. So no more than a level 2 right there. So it is looking good. And we have that nice outline around all of our text. And we still have plenty of contrast to be able to read everything. So the only thing that I might do here is I might go in here to the photo holder and I may do like a stroke around it. Just kind of see how that looks on the outside. And then let's see, does it need to be small or large? Let's go with maybe something like this. What I want to do here is go into an area where it's still going to blend in with everything. And then we'll just do a Gaussian blur on that line. And sometimes you need to go a little bit larger, although that's getting to a territory that I don't want to be in there. Okay. All right, we'll just leave it like that. All right, well, here it is, my Mandy Moore self-titled Bauhaus design poster, and I think it actually worked really well for it. It actually has a little bit of a Y2K vibe, especially with the colors going on here. Like I said earlier, if I had known that I was going to be doing this album, I definitely would have gone that route. However, it makes it a lot more challenging when you establish your design style before you know what you're designing for. So I actually like that aspect of it. All right, well, thanks a lot for watching me make that Mandy Moore poster. If you like this video, please remember to hit like and subscribe and click the bell for notifications to be notified of all future content. Thanks a lot for watching, thanks a lot for subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.